money. Boy, money. Anybody could use more money? All right, all right. Over 2,000 verses in the Bible about money. Or parables, or connections, a lot of stuff. If it's going to be connected 2,000 times in the Bible for God, it must be pretty important. It must be very important. Of course, he warns about, not going overboard, etc., etc. But for something to be mentioned 2,000 times or in various connections 2,000 times is very, very important. Okay? We want to talk about the significance of money and the value of money as this goes along. And I just want to make a few notes here before I get out of the way. Money, with significance, its value. It is not to be regarded as a measure of self-worth. When we go through the Bible and we see some things here, someone said, well, I got a lot of money. I'm a pretty powerful person. I'm somebody. Well, not of necessarily, but we recognize people today do use it as a measure of self-worth. It is not a necessary reward for godly living. I'm sure you and I both know a lot of ungodly people that are rich. So it ain't a necessary reward for the godly, It does not guarantee contentment. Money does not guarantee contentment. As a matter of fact, it is not a measure of success. Joshua 1:8, it's book of the law. What you meditate on here, how you put this into practice, is your measure of, then thou shalt have, make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Money. Look at the things that money can't do. Sometimes this blows people. Things that money can't do. Money, they say, can buy a house, but not a home. Money, they say, can get you medicine, but not necessarily give you health. Money can buy food, but it doesn't buy you satisfaction of the taste of the food. Money can get you sex, but not true love. Money, it says, can get you outward, external things, but not eternal life. Money can get you a bed, but not rest. Money can get you opportunity, but money can't stop time. Money can bring you happiness, because happiness depends on what is happening. But money doesn't give you true peace. Money can get you things, but not develop character. Money can get you people and acquaintances, but not necessarily true friends. Money can assist you with happiness, but not joy. It can't assist you with joy. Education, money can assist you with that, but not wisdom. Money can get you fashion, but it does not produce passion. Money can give you adulation, but not necessarily respect. Money can give you a life insurance, but not life assurance. Money can serve you and get you servants, but it doesn't get you loyalty. So looking at some verses here, and I just want to quickly get you to stand and read them for me as we read them so we can see where we are. All of our possessions belong to God. That's the one thought I would like to us to end with. All of our possessions belong to God. So let's get ready for a number of scriptures, and I want you to be able to stand and read them to us. 1 Corinthians chapter number 4, verses 1 through 5. I'll start off with reading that. And then there's Psalm 24, verse number 1. Then there's Haggai. Somebody get Haggai, chapter 2, and verse number 8. And then Psalm 50, and verses 10 through 12. And then 1 Chronicles 29:12. And Deuteronomy 8, verse 18. These are all verses that would indicate that all our possessions belong to God and they come from God. So let me read 1 Corinthians chapter number 4, verses 1 through 5, and somebody be ready with Psalm 24, verse 1. All right? Let a man so account of us, Paul says, as ministers of Christ and stewards of the mysteries of God. Moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. But with me, it is a very small thing that I should be judged of you, or man's judgment. Yea, I judge not mine own self, for I know nothing by myself, yet am I not hereby justified. But he that judgeth me is the Lord. Therefore judge nothing before the time until the Lord come, who will both bring to light the hidden things of darkness and will make manifest the counsel of the hearts. Then shall every man have praise of God. I want you to focus on verses 1 and 2. It says, we are stewards. Now, what does the word steward mean? It means a manager. Yeah, we're managers. God is the owner. We're the managers. All right, somebody, Psalm 24, verse number 1. Somebody got that? Psalm 24, verse 1. So would you go ahead?
Psalm 24, verse 1,
All right, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world, and everything that's in it. God, this is God's planet. God has this under control. He's the sovereign, almighty, eternal God. Okay? Let's go to Haggai, chapter 2, verse 8. That's an interesting verse. Haggai 2, verse 8. Go ahead.
The silver is mine, and the gold is mine, said the Lord of hosts.
Woo! Man, that's a powerful statement. The Lord said the silver is his own, and the gold is his own. Psalm 50. Psalm 50, verses 10 through 12. Go ahead. That's loaded stuff, huh? God said, I don't need to tell him about it. If I was hungry. I run the show. I own everything. Now, sometimes you figure some men figure they own it, but God says, I own it. I got this. All right? This is powerful. Let's go to 1 Chronicles 29, verse 12. 1 Chronicles 29, verse number 12. Somebody got it? Go ahead. All right. All right. That's powerful. Both riches. All of that stuff come from the Lord. The Lord is just saying some things here. All right. We come to, let's go. What we got? Deuteronomy 8, verse 18. Deuteronomy 8, verse 18. Somebody read that. It's a good one. You'll like it. Somebody, Deuteronomy 8, verse 18. Go ahead. All right. Yeah, he giveth power to get wealth. All right. So remember these verses as we go through. The point I'm trying to establish is that God, everything we possess, and let me give you one more piece of thing we possess, Deuteronomy. Let's use Daniel 5. That's one of my favorite boys there. Daniel, chapter number 5. And let's go to verse number 23. Daniel 5, verse number 23. I think that's the verse I want. I tell you what I want, verse number 24. Okay, no, I want verse 23. It's the ending portion of it. All right, verse 23, Daniel 5:23. Of course, he's before Belteshazzar, and Belshazzar thinks he's running show, but his show is running out. And so this language, this thing comes on there, these fingers of a man's hand, and writes on the plaster of the wall, and he's rubbing his eyes and saying, because they had a big party, big carnival going on there. The carnival, Junkanoo, everything out there, everybody rolling. And all of a sudden, in the middle of this, his fingers come and write some things on it. God always picks the prime time to speak to us. And so he didn't know, the king didn't know what, Belshazzar didn't know what it said. He said, we need somebody to interpret this. And finally, they found Daniel. Daniel comes to interpret it. And he gives him the interpretation. Then he says this to him in verse 23. But has lifted up, speaking about Belshazzar. Well, verse 22, let's start there. And thou his son. He said, you know what happened to your daddy, Nebuchadnezzar, his grandfather. Thou his son, O Belshazzar, has not humbled thine heart, though thou knewest all this. He said, just the same way your daddy was filled, your granddaddy was filled with pride, and I knocked him down, made him eat like an animal, make him to be like a creature, fingers, nails, looking like birds, and here. He said, you know all of this, but you wouldn't humble yourself. Look at verse 24 now, 23. But has lifted up thine self against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before thee, and thou and thy lords, thy wives, and thy concubines have drunk wine in them, in God's vessels that was dedicated to him in his house. And has praised the gods of what? Silver, and gold, and brass, and iron, and wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know. And he said, and the God in whose hand your breath is. All you got to do is, as it were, close his hand. Your breath is gone. That one that controls the very essence of who you are, and whose are all thy ways, hast thou not what? You honor everything. You knew what happened with your granddad, and you still doing the same thing. He said, don't you realize God has your breath? If God owns the breath, he owns everything. So I try to get couples when they first get married to say, listen, understand this principle. It'll help you throughout life. You know God is not against finances. We know God never said in his word, money is the root of all evil. We know God had said, what? The love of it is the root of all evil. And we tell you like this. You need to make a certificate that says, God, everything I possess belongs to you, and I honor you for it, and I acknowledge you for it. And sign your name on that certificate right there. Put it in the house. So every time we step in the house and we say, my bed, and my house, and my car, and you back up. No, I'm just the manager. I'm just the steward. He is the owner. I'm the servant. He is the owner. But he's given me things that he wants me to manage. I am a steward. I come to the place where I believe, hey, I'm the owner. That's a different story all the life. That's a different game we're playing there. Now, once we dedicate to God what is his, we expect God to work for your honor and for his glory. Give you an example. I always tell the story about when you dedicate something to God. I use, was it Steve as the example? I remember quite well that what transpired was he came down the aisle one night and he said, after the message was preached, he said, Pastor, I need to dedicate everything I have to God. He said, because what has happened in the nighttime, my Jeep, they keep breaking in my Jeep. He said, I need to dedicate my Jeep to God. They keep breaking in my Jeep. He said, I stay up nights looking to see who breaking in my Jeep. Must be by the time he closed the eye and wake back up, it broke in. all night, he can't catch the thief. He said, I dedicating this to God. And I ain't worrying with this no more. As a manager, God still expect him to lock up the Jeep. It's his responsibility. He's drive it right, etc. Still, that's God. That's your responsibility as a manager. God's the owner. So if anything go wrong, the owner got to replace it, not you. All right? But if you did the wrong thing, then you have to bear part of the responsibility. But anyway, so that night he went to bed. Okay? He said, in the middle of the night, police came to us. He said, yes, sir. The officer said, this your Jeep? Yeah. I Say, man, we look like we just saw somebody was in it. They ran off, they left the door open. You want to come and check to see if anything there? And he said, you know what, sir? I just dedicate that Jeep to God. I know I lock it up and everything. Because you shut the door, door closed. You say he went back to bed. Finally wake up early in the morning, come out to check to see what they took. His wallet is there with money in it. Not a piece. Gone. Nothing. See, Lord, thank you, Jesus. He slept. He got to sleep that night. Because he dedicated it to God. Now, let me get the other star. Two sisters. Must see Diana and her sister. But anyway, these two sisters. Always arguing, always fighting, always rowing. Unless you get two sisters in the house or two daughters in the house, you wouldn't know about that. But always a little war, you know, a little something going on. Two girls, two. One sister, let's call her Mary. She was the oldest one, and let's call the next one. Who to call her? Martha. Call her Martha, and they always arguing. Mary was, the older one, the mature one. She was getting frustrated. Went to the preacher and said, what used to transpire between them? They were about the same size, wore the same clothes, same dress, that type of stuff. And so Martha used to go take all the Mary stuff, wear it, bring it back home, throw it on the ground, and then, Mary's telling her mother, listen, she's making me mad, she's making me angry. And she's doing this to my clothes. So, they couldn't get anywhere. Martha would continue to do it. There was war raging in the house over and over and over. So finally Mary went to the preacher and said, could you please help me? The preacher said, okay, tell you what you do. You need to dedicate them clothes to God. Just dedicate the clothes to God right there at the altar. I said, now, who the clothes belong to? Say, the Lord. So are you to be rowing over these clothes, which if somebody use it and it's God's own, should you be rowing about it? Okay, good. So, she goes home. Martha grabs the clothes, wears them just like normal. Throws them on the ground just like normal. Mary grabs them up, picks them up, cleans them, washes them, takes everything. Bam, hangs them up. Martha again does the same thing. Goes on for about 2 weeks. Mary's no rowing, no fussing, no anything. See, if it don't belong to you, you don't really worry about it, So, Martha kind of comes and says, Mary, what happening? Mary say, like what? She said, you don't row with the clothes or anything anymore. She said, what clothes? They're my clothes. Martha said, well, who clothes theirs? Mary said, listen, they're the Lord's clothes. I dedicated them to him. All I am is the steward. I'm the manager. You think Mary touched them clothes again? Not again. Because, see, when we have the possession that is ours and ours alone, we get angry when people take from us. We don't get angry if they take from Bezos and the neighbor down. We don't get angry. But we get angry if we believe we own it and they took it from us. Oh, yeah. So we must, the one thought I want to share, learn to give what you have to the Lord. I was going to show you the 10 richest men in the world today. And like we say, finances, just want to lay that little foundation. It all belongs to God. Now, how are we going to manage it? That's what it's all about, So, Sister Rochelle, let's give her a round of applause as she comes. She's the one spearheading this. I appreciate her very much. And I think she just thrives in this area, but she don't know she thrives. Sometimes I think she try to hide. You know what I mean? But I appreciate her very much. I cannot ever forget what she's done with that. What it was? You all forget? The will. I could never forget. Go ahead, Sister.
Good night, everybody. So I'm not a public speaker, which is why I've been ducking Pastor every time he asks. But I do thank everybody for coming out. I know Pastor asked us to focus on home ownership. So that's going to be the central focus. But I do want to thank Sister Renee. I called her, say, Pastor, say this, you got to help me. Sister Renee said, okay, here's what we can do. And she started outlining. She got our guest speaker, but she's going to introduce him. But I want to publicly tell him thank you for coming tonight on short notice to rescue me. And then I called Brother Cadero, And I was like, I'm from New Testament Baptist Church and we need somebody. And he was like, my church needs something? Okay, no problem. I come in when you want me come. And then I called Melissa and said, okay, you got to tell them the legal part. And she was like, when you want me come? I said, Pastor never took your name off the church roll. What you mean when you want to come? Come on. So Melissa, and that's Brother Kwame's sister for y'all who don't know. She's an attorney, so she will be here the week after Cadero. He's going to speak next week. He's at Fidelity Bank, so you'll ask the questions. He'll tell you about the mortgages and the consumer loans. Melissa will speak the following week. What happens when your mortgage is approved and it goes to the bank? And then I will speak on what happens if the bank have to take your home. We would also speak, I'll try to give you all some tips how to pay off your mortgage quickly. And in there, we're going to tell you where to go for funding if you want to do a small business. So we're going to start tonight, and we're going to speak. If you're interested in getting a home or property, what do you need? When you go see Mr. Taylor in the back there, you'll go prepared. So if I forget out anything, you could jump up and let me know. But, of course, you need your job letter. You need your pay slip. You need your printouts from any bank that you all owe. You need your identification. With this, he's able to tell you, and based on your age, how much you qualify for, and he'll tell you how long your term will be for your mortgage. That's very important. Once you know the amount that you qualify for, then you're going to put an account aside. This account is for your down payment and closing costs. Your closing costs is your legal fees and your government VAT. You need to know that. It is not an emergency fund. You don't want to touch this fund because you have a flat tire, because an emergency to me might not be an emergency to you. And then, for some reason, when people know you're saving money, they need to borrow. When $500 here, and when you ask them for your money, they have attitude with you. So you don't let them know but this money, but you're saving your money for your down payment. Your legal fees is 2.5% of the consideration plus VAT. Your down payment is anywhere between 5 to 20%, depending on the type of loan you're getting, because you might want a commercial loan, you might want a commercial property. Then, of course, you know, you might have to come up, you have that figure in mind, now you need to start shopping. Where do I look for a home? Good place to start is the newspapers. You can go on the MLS, which is the multi-listing from all of the real estate agents. You can go on the real estate agent site, so you can get an idea of what is on the market. You must ensure that you have an attorney. I will tell you all, like I said last week, I went to repossess a house. Not only was the house on the wrong property, they were in the wrong subdivision. So things happen. You might think you get 6,000 square feet, and the neighbor, no house was there for a while, so they extended their building on your property. So you think you have 6,000 square feet when you only have 5,000 square feet, because they took a portion of your square footage. So that is why you want to ensure that you have an attorney. Make sure your attorney is on that bank list. And the reason they're there is because the bank has already vetted these persons. They don't have any issue with these persons. But if you want to use an attorney that's not on the list, you may write to the bank and see if they're willing to allow you to use the person, as well as your appraisal. Some of the fees you would get, of course, is your appraisal fees in addition to your down payment. Don't forget, you're getting a new house, you need your deposit for your light bill, your water bill, your phone bill, you need those. You need to insure your home. You need to make sure if you're building, your contractor has contractors all risk. In case there is a disaster, it's covered under the insurance. So, you need all this money. Some people decide they're going to take a side job. They get a side hustle. And I actually like young people having side jobs. The only problem with y'all getting a side job is statistics tell us 70% of the business fail. And we need to know why. And that is very crucial. So where do you go for funding? There are many places you can go for funding, but what I'm going to do is let our guest speak. He is a business owner, and he done hurt my feelings because he told me he's do T-shirts, and I was all excited to order shirts from him, and he was like, your business too small. I don't do small orders. But he's going to tell us about his business, and the reason why I want you all to have the real story from a business owner. Having a business is not easy. Business people work harder because this is their source of income. This is how their bills are paid. And y'all got to get up outside hours. And I tell people my phone and my laptop stay charged. Customer call me 2 o'clock in the morning, I take a call because they're on another side of the world. It is just the life. Even though I work, I do side consultant. And that's the reality of owning a business. My son in Fort Lauderdale is tell the people, oh, my business manager can get back to you. And he WhatsApp me and say, call the people and tell them use my business manager. Like, and then my mommy in Crooked Island, she just make things. And I was like, oh, but you need a business license. So I'm renewing business license. I'm ordering and all of that for her business as well. So being a business owner is hard. And one of the things y'all do not want to do is to work to get your home and then the bank have to come and take it. And I want to let y'all know, a bank is a business. They ain't your friend. They ain't there to further your dream. Those investors want a return on their money, so they want to lend to persons who they think will give them an investment. They really don't want to repossess your house. It takes more work. You got to be hiring people to show the house, or you got to hire people to maintain the house. But if you have to, you will. I have not lost one night's sleep taking nobody out. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying that it's either I repossess your house or my bills ain't paid. And that's all it is a contract to me. So don't get all offended when people say they have to come and repossess your house. I mean, it is a contract. So I will say this to you. Once you have your home, and Mr. Taylor will tell you about applying for a home next week, what is the process? Like I said, Melissa will tell you all about the legal process. Why does it take so long? What requisitions we are raising. We raise as attorneys. What issues could we have? And then I will speak to you on what happens if we have to repossess. In between that, I want to tell you all where you could go for funding if you want a business. You may need some additional income. I will tell you where to go for funding. I will tell you how to apply for the funding. And I will answer questions. You have all of us are available to answer those questions. Funding is available at the different financial institution. You all are well connected. We get people connected with our church who have approval for $200 million just sitting there. You just have to have the business, and we could give you all the hookup to the person who connected to our church. So I will let Sister Renee come and introduce a guest. Anybody have any questions so far? Okay, so Sister Renee will come and introduce a guest. I will come back and tell you where could you go for funding, how to access funding. Tasha, I get you. How to access funding. But I want you to hear him talk about business, running a business in the Bahamas. It is important because you can make money, but you need to know what to do and what not to do. And I actually learned that from my son. He was just watching these videos, and I was like, what are you watching? Successful men. And I just thought he wanted to know how to be successful. He said, no, I'm actually learning the mistakes they made because I don't have to make their mistakes. They already tell me what the mistakes is. I just stay away from them. So I'm going to let him come and speak about his business. Renee's going to introduce him. And then we'll come back and find out where to get funding, what to take when you go to the bank to see Brother Cadero. We actually do have another person with our church who is a loan officer at another bank, but because he's one of ours, we're going to go with him. So thank you, and Sister Renee. Oh, sorry, Natasha, I had a question. So her question is, why is so difficult to get a business license? So quite recently, I will take that question. Quite recently, for the last business cycle, the government or the Department of Inland Revenue is requiring that you provide proof that you do not owe the government real property tax. So when you apply for a business license, you have to provide proof that you don't owe real property tax. If you're not a business owner, if you're not a real estate owner, you just put on your application, I own no real estate. If you do own real estate in your name, you need an assessment number. Every property in the Bahamas now have to have an assessment number because every time you go to do something to Inland Revenue, like stamp a document that relates to land or apply for business license, they can key an assessment number and tell you you owe real property tax. We cannot issue a tax certificate. We cannot renew your business license. We cannot stamp your mortgage to buy this because there are outstanding taxes and fees. So you just have to let them know Do you owe real property tax? Do you own property? If you do own property, if it's not in your name, give them the person name. If you have the assessment number, give them the assessment number. Any? Yes. So if you're paying rent, you give them the name of the landlord. You just say, my landlord name is, if this is a home-based business, right? So you say, my landlord name is Rochelle Smith, and that's all you need to provide them. See, the landlord actually could enter in a payment arrangement, and then we do have discount for persons that are retired, senior citizens. No, the landlord, your job is just to tell them who your landlord is. You don't own any real estate, but my landlord name is, and give them the landlord, because you're giving them the directions to the business. The landlord now, they now look into the landlord. So in the Bahamas, and I'm jumping ahead of our seminar, a real estate lien, real property tax takes first precedence lien in the Bahamas. Simply what that means is you can owe the bank $100, $100,000. You owe real property tax. Real property tax has the right to sell your house before the bank mortgage kicks in. So you have to be aware of that. So you would see notices going out about real property tax and come in and speak to us. It is a first charge in the Bahamas. And so they can take precedence. They have repossessed property. They can sell your property. And if any change leave, it go to the bank. But remember, you still owe the bank. You have no asset to sell, so the bank come into you. And the bank will say, either give me your salary, we come in for your car, we come in for the painting, we come in for the boat. We need to sell because I need to be paid. Okay, any other questions?
Good evening, everyone. Piggybacking on what Rochelle said, another segment that we would like to have done during this few weeks that we're doing the financial seminar is having you share with us as a church your business. We have a lot of church members in here who has their side businesses, but nobody in the church, or very few persons in the church, no. I am going to prepare a registry from the persons who have their businesses that I will issue out, with pastor's permission, of course, so that we'll be able to utilize your services. This evening, it's my pleasure to introduce a young man who I've known all of his life. He's a very focused young man. He is a graduate of the A.F. Alley High School. He went on to further his education at BTVI. He was afforded a scholarship at BTVI to go on to Tampa Tech. He came back home. He lived in the U.S. for a number of years, actually, but he decided that he wanted to come back home. He came back home, and he was employed with Cable Bahamas, and he's now a manager at Cable Bahamas. Throughout all of that, he's always had the quest and the zeal to own his own business. That is something that he spoke about from a child. He kept focused, and he just pressed on. Now he has a number of businesses that are doing quite well. This evening, he will speak to us concerning one of his businesses and the process of that business. And he is also going to speak with us concerning how he was able to get a mortgage and build the home that he has today. It is my pleasure to welcome you, or to introduce to you, my baby brother, Darren Farrington.
Before you speak, this is the last one?
No, second to last.
Second to
Last
last.
one.
I don't know, because I'm trying to make sure you get the connection. Of course, I was very close to his mom and his dad. And I don't know who was in the hospital. was Jermaine in the hospital. Okay, Jermaine is in Canada now. And, through inspiration of what transpired in the hospital, I've told that story over and over. When that happened in the hospital, because Jermaine was in the hospital sick, I went to visit him. He held on to me, and, he was crying. He didn't want to go, but I didn't want me to go. I was trying to leave, and in the process of me leaving, I was leaving with tears in my eyes because I had to push him back in the crib. He jumped out the crib, and there was a number of babies that were following me out, like the Pied Piper song? So when you look behind, there's all these babies, about 10 to 15. Now, how they got out of the crib, only God knows. The woman said, hey, hold it. And I turned around. She said, all these babies following you. And they started crying, because I had actually gone around to each one of the crib, had a little word of prayer with them, you see. Just went around to each one of the crib, had a little word of prayer with them. And they eventually came out of the cribs, and they followed me. And I remember when the doors closed, when they finally corralled those kids, and the crying that was going on, and I started crying even more, because I said, Lord, whatever you do, please help me to reach kids, And so I think out of that is part of the reason why I'm involved in the schools. I never dreamed that would take place. But, hey, it's good to see him here. I know him from he was a baby, so I'm excited. I'm excited for what he's going to present. Amen. Amen. Great.
Good night. Good night. I want to start off by saying, Pastor Adams, I want to say thank you. Thank you for what you do in this country. I want to say thank you for what you do in this church every Sunday, every time you take the pulpit. I want to say how blessed you guys are to have one of the best teachers in the word that we have in this country, in this man right here. And I don't say that just because I stand here. I say that because I've sat under his teaching. I've known what his word has been able to do and touch. I also want to say that you have a lot of people that are in your congregation and you don't know the power of them if you don't take notice of them. And I want to say that in Pastor Mr. Wilton Johnson, what he does with the armed forces. Everybody that comes into the armed forces, especially the police force, he gets the opportunity to touch in some way. And you guys have him as a mentor in this church. And I want you guys do not take that for granted. All right? I want to say thank you for giving me this platform to be able to share in your institute. I don't take this lightly because I understand that all I am is because what God has done for me, and I am a steward not only for my thoughts, but what I share and what I do with my thoughts. I want to say thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight. I also want to encourage you guys to continuously have these financial workshops, have these financial seminars. Imagine in this country if we studied finances as much as we studied religion. Think about it. We have a church on every corner right now. On every corner, every other corner. But how many of these people have the finances they need to sustain their living? Just something to think about. Now let's get to work. I know you came to a financial seminar. Now you need to have something to write with. If you don't have something to write with, you have a cell phone. Everybody has a cell phone in here, right? All right, let's go to work. Let's take notes. Sister Rochelle came up and she spoke about the Financial Institute, and she told you how they could come and get your home, how you could sign up to get a mortgage, how you could do all of this. My question to you is this: how do you get there? How do you get there? For myself, my sister talked about me going off to school. I was the first person to go off to a foreign place to further my education. It was 2001. It was the semester after Christmas, and here's what happened. The grant check was late. The Life of Key scholarship doesn't kick in until the grant check pays the school. So the school is holding $5,000 for me because the grant check from the government is late. I have no money. I can't call home because everything I got on the Christmas break is what they gave me. So now I'm in the kitchen boiling water because I don't have 30 cents to fill a gallon of water. That's when the light bulb came on for me. I'm not living the rest of my life like this. All right? We all speak about the things we want in life, how we want to accomplish things in life. But first we need to realize something. Where are we economically? Where are you right now in your finances? All right? If you have never heard about it, there's something called the cash flow quadrant. All right? This guy, I didn't make this up. I give him all the credit. Robert Kiyosaki speaks about a cash flow quadrant. This cash flow quadrant, it comes in 4 quadrants. It's ESBI. All right, this may look familiar for some of y'all, but I want to show you exactly. This tells you where you are economically and what happens to your finances. Either you're an employee, you're self-employed, you have a business system, or you're an investor. Most people are on this side. They're employees or they're self-employed. Anybody know anybody like that? Coming out of, when I went to school, my first stream, they took us to BTVI. I realized I wanted to be a computer tech. This is when I realized the computer revolution was about to happen. I said, that's it, I'm doing that. I went on, got my degrees to be a computer technician. I said, I'm going to be making $40 an hour. And if I get some certifications, I can make $80 an hour. But here's what I did not realize. I still have to trade my time for money. And regardless of what you do, it's only 24 hours in the day. 8 of those hours you got to sleep. All right, so you only left with a certain amount of hours. And what we have to look at is this. 95% of the people sit on this side of the quadrant, but they only control 5% of the wealth. 95% of the people either are employed or self-employed. All right, some people say, well, Darren, I don't have a job. I'm self-employed. You have a skill. That means you do hair or you do nails or you cook or you lay tiles or you paint. But guess what? How many tiles can you lay in a day? You still only have so many hours in the day. There's only so many things you could do in the day. And guess what? Most times being self-employed is worse than being an employee. At least when you're self-employed, you don't have group insurance. You got to find your own insurance. If you don't work, you don't get paid when you're self-employed. All right? That's not to say that it's bad. That's just what it is. Where are you economically on this side? See, the next side is that some people make the jump to this side where they're a business system owner. It meaning that you have systems that make money for you. This is where everybody should be trying to get, where you have money coming in while you sleep. You say, Darren, what do you mean while you sleep? Well, if you're a tile layer, why don't you look at training some other people? Instead of you tiling one house, you have 3 other people that's tiling 4 houses the same time. You get the contract and you earn a percentage of what they do. Why don't you do the same thing if you paint? If you do nails in a beauty supply store, think about getting your own building so you could rent booths while you're doing nails inside there. It makes money while you sleep. You don't have to be there doing nails, but the people in there still pay you booth rent. These are some of the things we have to look at. Pastor opened up, and I love the way he opened up with scriptures that told us that we are stewards of the things of this world. All right? So, if you believe in God, we are children of God, why don't we have the things of God? And he speaks about in those verses of gold and silver. But we mad with all the quote-unquote unrighteous people who have all the gold and silver. You know why? We ain't doing the work. Simple as that. We ain't doing the work. When you recognize where you are economically, then you could devise a plan on what you do next. The next step is being an investor. An investor is, they send their money out to work for them. That's what investors do. Because they've realized, the people that own the big businesses, what they do is, they understand that they own a big business. So what? They employ a group of people, they pay them a salary, and they get a percentage off of all those people going to work. When this light bulb came on for me, after I read the book, The Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki, I said, it's time to make a change. It's time that we do something. It's time that we realize that we don't have to stay where we are. We talk about how we can get a mortgage. The question is, do you have what it takes that after you get the mortgage to sustain the mortgage? All right? This ESPI quadrant is something that you should study, you should fall in love with. The kids that's over there in the corner, take grasp of this now. The next 3 steps I'm going to show you is how you get from one place to the next. You can do all you want, and you could go get a loan to be in business, but if you don't understand how monies work, you would be just like she said, one of those 70% of businesses that fail. Okay? I can give you a tool, but if you don't know how to use it effectively, you won't be any good. Okay? The next 3 steps is, what we've been doing for so long is that we have been doing the steps backwards. Right? What we do is, we go to school. After they didn't sell us this lie, we get good grades, right? And then we go off to college, our mommy spend all this money, and then we come back and some of us with a lot of debt, and then we go look for a job. And then we work real hard, and then they tell us we could be successful. That work for anybody in here? All right? My mom raised 8 children. And I know nobody that works harder than her. Right now, we race to see who could get up the quickest. When she meet me up at 5 o'clock printing shirts, she say, how come you up before me? I say, because this is what you teach me. That's the work ethic I grew up with. And she's not wealthy. But the principles of what she taught me, I understood some things. If I took those work ethic and those principles and the discipline and put them inside a business system, I can now see profits. All right? Well, after we've done these things, these 3 steps will change your life. In any project that you're taking on, in anything that you do, apply these 3 steps. Define, learn, do. What we do is we do it backwards. We go to school. Anybody ever had career day at school? And what they do is the guidance counselors is tell you, oh, you're good with maths. You should go be an accountant. What they're saying is that you can't make enough money, but you could count some other people's money. That's what they're saying, because you're good with maths, right? And then you have some people who say, oh, you're good with literature. So what you should probably do is go be an editor. And they push you inside these things on what they think you should do. And then you go to college, and you learn more about it, right? And then what you learn, define your lifestyle. See, because when you become an accountant owns a particular check. And that in that check, he has to live within the means. That defines his lifestyle. Not only that 70% of the people or 70% of the businesses fail inside this country, that's global. But 70% of the people are working out in careers outside of their degrees. How many people you know go on to school for one thing, but they work in another industry? How many people you know go on to school to be a teacher, but they now an insurance agent? Why? Because somebody sold them this dream that this is what you should do. But they didn't tell them the whole picture. What you should do is define the lifestyle that you want for yourself first. That's what you should do. God starts with a what? Plan. He starts with the end goal, then he works his way back through a plan. Why do we do it differently? What you do is once you define the lifestyle that you want, you can now devise your plan. You say, what are you talking about? How does this make sense? See, when I leave here tonight, I probably could be up till 2, 3 o'clock printing some shirts because there's a big event for a school and they just put in an order. And they need this for Friday morning. And you say, well, Darren, why are you doing it? It ain't the money. I understand something. This is a part of the puzzle because the lifestyle that I've defined for myself, I have to take this step and make this sacrifice. All right? When you define the lifestyle that you want first, it comes back to your why. What is your why? What tugs your heart? He speaks about going inside the hospital and the kids just tugging his heart. So guess what? He's doing what pulled him. The question is, why do you wake up every Monday morning and you're mad to go to work? Because you're doing something that has nothing to do with your why. That's why most people hate Mondays. I love Mondays. All right? You know when most heart attacks happen? Monday morning on the drive to work. Or they never get out of bed. Check the statistics. There are people who dread after the football or basketball game on Sunday that they got to go to work on Monday. Because it's not connected to their why. If you define the lifestyle that you want first, then she speak about getting a mortgage. Some people living in houses they can't afford. Period. Okay, because they didn't define their lifestyle. When you define what you want, the next thing you do is you go and you learn from some people who have the fruit on the tree. Would you sign up for a fat fitness coach to teach you how to lose weight? Would you go to somebody that smokes chronic cigarettes and say, you know what, you should be my health coach? So why do we take advice from broke people? See, when I'm looking for a real estate agent and I'm looking to invest in real estate, I find a real estate agent who owns real estate. Not the real estate agent who just want a sale. You learn from people who has the fruit on the tree. Before the turn of the century in the 1900s, what used to happen before schools were all structured or whatever, you used to go to a tutelage. You used to go to a mentor. And that's who taught you the ways of your career. Now, schools were used, and I have nothing against schools. They have their purpose and their place. And you use it because it teaches you the fundamentals. But that's not the end all. You learn, they teach you how to read and write so you can get the information that you truly need to equip you. After you define the lifestyle that you want, you go and you learn from some people that has the fruit on the tree. She spoke about her son who watched the stories of people who failed. So he don't have to make those same mistakes. So why don't we do the exact same thing? We're living in the information age. Everybody has a phone. The phones that we have today are more powerful than the computers that they use to send the rockets to the moon. Let that sink in. But yet, most people would just sit there and all they do is text and WhatsApp and go on TikTok or whatever, and they don't understand the power they have with finding out something from the phone. You got YouTube, you have all of these different things, you got books, you have all of these things that you can learn from so you could figure out, what do I do next in life? This is what I use and how I prepared myself before getting into business. I defined the lifestyle that I want. I don't want to be working a 9 to 5 for the rest of my life. I want to control my time. I want my freedom. I want systems that are built where I have the finances, where I can impact where my money goes and who it infects. Okay? Right now, we have to all run home because we got to get some sleep because we got to go to work tomorrow. So we don't have that freedom, but we could work toward it. After defining, learning, the next thing we do is we go out there and we devise a plan and we execute that plan. Every house that is over 500,000 has one room inside of it. Every house. You know what that room is? It's a library. You know why? Because the people who are buying that house understand how important it is to have a study, to have a library, to get information. All right? They're not caught up in having 55-inch TVs with projectors and soft seats to come home and watch Netflix for 8 hours and then talk about it at the water cooler and then be mad when they pull us inside the meeting and we upset to be on this job. What they do is they learn from the people who've done it, who has the fruit on the tree, and they learn from their mistakes, and what they do is they go out there and they do it. Those are the fundamentals. Those are the things that you need to do to equip yourself before you do anything in business. A lot of us in this country, and we just spoke about it at family dinner, is that we healthy spiritually. Boy, we could quote some scripture. We know all the songs, the hymns. But guess what? Personal development and finances, we poor. We weak. Because we believe that if we healthy spiritually, the personal development just can kick in. It don't work like that. If you have a bad attitude before you come to Christ, just because you take a little bit longer before you run hot, you need to deal with your personal development so you don't even run hot. Okay? A lot of people believe, well, I just sitting now waiting on God to bless me. With what? To do what? You ain't doing nothing. And so what we have to understand is, he put us here to be the salt of the earth. But some are saying, see, isn't there nothing because we ain't doing nothing. All right? We have access to this equipment. And this equipment in this day and age is information. That quadrant that I gave you shows you where you are economically. Before you go to the bank, if you broke, you're wasting your time. All right, you can't apply for the mortgage because the loan officer ain't even gonna see you because you ain't got no job letter. You ain't even got no statements if you're self-employed, so you're wasting the people's time. Don't do that. Okay, let's do the foundational work first. Okay, that's foundational work. Start reading. Just like how you read your Bible, you need to start reading about personal development and finance. You got things like Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, Napoleon Hill that wrote Think and Grow Rich, anything by John C. Maxwell. These are things that you do is that you start equipping yourself with these things with finances. The next step is this. As you're doing that, you start to identify things around you that you see are changing. All right? As we look inside this country, I'll give you a little hint. The women control the money in this country. The women control the money in this country. Hair, nails, makeup, baby clothes, shoes, makeup, hair, lashes, all are run by who? No, the husband is when he make the money. He don't run it. Yeah. You understand me? And so if you're looking for business, look for something that is attached to these things. Most homeowners, and she'll tell you, most homeowners in this country are single women. So if you're a young man and you're looking for a job, and you say, well, ain't nobody will hire me, well, create your own job. Tell your parents that you want a lawnmower for Christmas and a cutlass. And you go to all these houses and you tell them, I'll cut your yard for $50, regardless of the price. And what you do is you cut your yard for $50 and you build up a rapport continuously till they're paying you every single 2 weeks. We're in rainy season. You got bub all week, all month. And all you're doing is running a lawnmower and doing some edging. Single mothers ain't coming to cut their yard. You know the next thing they ain't doing? They ain't washing windows. It's not hot. These are just things that you could do with a bucket of water and some joy and a rag, right? If you got 3 friends, you say, listen, we can this whole trade now. We can charge them $80. We can split it. X, Y, and Z. You take over the supply, so you always have joy and water, some rags. And if you could do 4 houses a day at $80, you got $320 that you can split 4 ways. You got to go to Fusion anyway. But you broke. But me when you got $20 to give you. See, but as you start to look around, she speak about side jobs. This is how you start to build it. There's a scripture that says, seek and you shall find. People always ask me, how did I get in business? I started doing stuff because I started looking for ideas. And as I started to seek stuff, I started to realize there's an opportunity here, an opportunity here, and an opportunity there. And as you do that, you seek out what is wanted in this country, what is needed in this country. With the help of God, you will realize that you put these things in place. Being in business in this country is simple, you know. It's simple. Devise a plan, work your plan, adjust your plan, and do it again. Most people in this country fail in business because they don't have no plan. I could give you a myriad of businesses that failed because they was copying somebody else. You remember the fruit stands that was everywhere? What about 99-cent breakfast? Car washes? Remember when everybody was taking photos? Everybody was a photographer. Where are they now? Because they did it wrong. They did not have a plan. They was copying somebody else. Economically, once you have these things, the business for you, you will start to seek out these things. Everybody think I got a perfect business and don't listen to me. If you cut 1 yard per day at $70, 70 times 5 is $350. That's more than minimum wage. What's your overhead? Gas? How much your lawnmower eat up? If you and one of your friends come together and say, okay, well, let's lighten the load. Instead of you cutting 1 yard, you could cut 2 yards or 3 yards. Okay? But what they have programmed us to do is sit down and say, you know what? No, boy, I ain't working in the yard. Or you want a degree, so I go work in air conditioning. Listen to me, folks. Most tellers at banks are broke. Most doctors in this country are broke. That's why they work 2 jobs. If you ever notice, most doctors, their office don't open until 3 o'clock. You want to know why? Because they work the government clinic early in the morning, and then they go to their job. That's why. Learn from some people who have done it, and then devise your plan and execute. That's how you earn money. All right? That's how I planned to get into business. That's how I sustained myself for being in business. When I started printing in 2011, it was from a machine that I got for a Christmas present that I bought for myself. I knew nothing about screen printing. Nothing. I went to the University of YouTube and I watched every video that I can get my hands on. All right? When I got the machine, I was actually looking for a machine because when I was researching all of the parts that you need, there was like $3,000, $5,000. I don't have that type of money. Okay, I was sleeping in my room, and the computer was on. And I had a video tuner card that I could have watched TV. And an infomercial came on with the machine for screen printing. And some people say, that's a premonition. But if I was never seeking, I would have never found it. A lot of us in this room right here, we ain't seeking, we just sitting down. That's all we doing. We ain't seeking, we just sitting down. Okay? I'm going to take questions on that section right afterwards. But I want to go on to my next section is how did I plan and prepare for a mortgage? I like what she said. The bank is not your friend. That's what I tell everybody. The bank is not your friend. The bank is in business to turn a profit. And most banks in this country right now, they ain't turning a big profit. Because if you check the percentages on your savings, it's very low. It's less than, what, 1% now? So, you say, here's what you do. Reverse engineer the bank or the lending institute. Remember something. If they're in business to make profit, what makes you a good candidate for them to give you a mortgage? I'm going to run through these steps and I tell you how it is. One, like she said, bring your job letter. You know why you need a job letter? First step, you need a consistent source of income. You self-employed for 20 years. You lie because you have no bank statements that can prove that you've been in business for 20 years. You don't need a big sum of money, but if you could show them, every time I cut a yard or every time I wash windows, I deposit this amount at the end of the month, or I deposit it every week, it shows that you have a consistent source of income. Records. That's what the bank is looking for. That's what they're looking for. All right? The next thing is this. Your debt to profit ratio needs to be in a positive state. Oh, what that means? You got to have more savings than debt, people. You don't need every clothes or everything you want to order from Shein and Amazon and all these things. How much black shoes you could wear? You got a black dress for every black outing, and you don't even go out no more. If some of us go inside our closet and sell the clothes that we have right now, we have enough to start a small business. And I'm not saying that to knock everybody, but here's the thing. We hoarding all of these stuff, but they ain't turning no profits for us. What's the point? All right? Now, some of us suffer from what I like to call poverty syndrome. You know, like when you're growing up and your mommy didn't have any money, so now you start working and you realize you could buy these things, so you start buying these things because it make you feel, get over that. Get some help. Therapy. Get some help. You know, you only got one pair of feet. You really don't need 6 black shoes, women. You don't even wear the black shoes. Some of them dry out in the closet. And all I'm saying this to you is this. Cool. You say, well, darn, you're knocking us. No. But if those things are putting you in debt and you don't have a profit or a ratio of savings, they are not an asset to you. They are a liability to you. Sell some of them. Here's what you do. Right? First of all, before you make a purchase, look at the item. Wait 30 days. If after 30 days, you still want the item, make sure that you can pay for the item twice before you buy it. Now, after 30 days, if you could pay for it twice and you still want it, I say buy it. After you buy the item, check yourself. If you ain't wear this item in 3 months, chances are you're not going to wear this item. Sell it. I mean, you broke, the light off, the cupboards ain't got no food, but you got a closet full of food. What you can eat? You got a closet full of clothes. What you can eat? The clothes? So my point to you is consistent source of income, debt, a positive debt to profit ratio, meaning that you got more savings than you have debt. A lot of us don't need more money. We just need less of what we acquiring. That's all we need. Yeah, a lot of us don't need more money. A lot of people say, oh, I need more money. You know, Pastor, the Bible, they sing this song. You know, God ain't gonna never give you more than you could bear. That go for money too. You can't budget $10. You think he can give you $100,000 for you to hurt somebody? You have to become good stewards of the little before he can entrust you with much. These are biblical principles. A lot of people, they've been coming to church for 10 years and they have not been able to pay tithes consistently yet. And we get in the teaching, but are you executing on what you're doing? So the next step is this. After a consistent source of income, a positive debt to profit ratio, you need a healthy lifestyle, healthy certificate. How do you prove that? Get some life insurance. Get some life insurance. You say, well, I can't qualify for life insurance. Well, that's the problem. So probably you have to change your diet. You have to bring your lifestyle into place. We got a lot of young people who right now, they got diabetes, hypertension. And you say, like, you only 21. What are you doing? Well, like, they're killing themselves slowly. That's what they're doing. But they're not paying attention to these things. The next thing she spoke about it is a down payment. Okay, how do you get a down payment? See those steps that I give you, the ESPI with economics? Here's what that also tell you. What you can afford. Do not get a side hustle to get a mortgage. Because here's what happens after you get the mortgage and you stop the side hustle. The bank comes for their house. I tell everybody this. If you're getting married or you're single, but think about it like this. One paycheck, not two. One paycheck, not two. One paycheck should be able to cover the mortgage. You wonder why a lot of these people's houses getting sold? Okay, some of them get married. They take the two paychecks and they make the mortgage. Well, they break up. Well, it's only one paycheck. Now the bank coming for the house. Oh, you work at a hotel or something that has an up and down economy. You get laid off. You only have one paycheck now, but you got the mortgage under the pretense of two. It goes back to what I'm saying. We don't need more money. We just need to stop acquiring some stuff that we can't afford. Okay? So you have to live within. That's it. So once you do that, here's what you're going to find out. You're now able to pay your tithes consistently. See, people say, Darren, what you talking about? Part of paying tithes consistently is not just giving the money to church, you know. Part of paying tithes consistently is for you to have a budget. Because if you can't budget the 10%, 9 out of 10 times you can't budget the other 90%. Okay? A consistent source of income, a positive debt to profit ratio, a healthy lifestyle. Prove it, get some life insurance. If you know you're looking for a house, once you have these fundamentals in place, right? I tell my nieces and my nephews, they're in their 20s right now. I said, when you turn 30, walk into any bank with $30,000, a life insurance that costs more than your house, and see if, on a job that you've been on for more than 5 to 7 years, and see if they reject you. They won't. They won't, because they want your money. And guess what? You have profit potential. That's what it is. So you reverse engineer what they're looking for, and you put the steps in place. All of these things, all of us could do. But here's what's going to happen. A lot of you are going to leave here tonight, and you're going to come back next week, and you're going to get the information. And just like our pastors preach every Sunday, you'll get the information, and you don't act on it. You don't act on it. So make sure once you get this information, you do something. I'm not telling you run out there and start a business or go to the bank looking for a mortgage. Start with this one step. This one step. May just started. Track all of your spending for May. All of it. Do that for 6 months. Do that for 6 months and see where your money goes. After 6 months, you'll have an idea of where you're spending the bulk of your money. All right? I went to Wendy's the other day, I almost had a heart attack. $20 for 2 combos? You got to be out your mind. I was ready to raise cows and start hamburgers, and I don't even eat meat. Okay? But these are some of the things you have to look at. Track your budget for 3 months and then assess it and see what's your biggest overhead. Okay? We have the power in here to do this. I went to the bank. When I went to the bank, I called Bank of Bahamas and I told the guy, prior to getting a mortgage, I had a school under $40,000 that I had to pay back. $40,000. And that was the down payment for the house right there. All right? But I was afforded the opportunity to have an education and get some skills. So I had to honor my part of the word. My part is, you use my money. The agreement was you pay it back once you got back. I paid it back in full. All right? What happened now is I called the guy. I said, I'm looking for a mortgage. He said, you need to come in. I said, listen, sir. Send me your checklist of what you need. I'm not going to waste your time, and you ain't going to waste my time. I ain't coming there with 3-4 documents, and you turning me around. I work for one of the biggest internet service providers in the Western Hemisphere, and I don't have time to play. Send me an email with what you need. I will garner everything that you need. I'll send you copies. When I have everything, and you run this through your system, I'll bring you the originals, and we'll have a meeting. That's exactly what happened. Okay? The banks right now are fighting for your money. But a lot of us don't have no money to fight for. So what we have to do, and my sister will tell you every family dinner, after they cry, who get the first piece of cake? What happens is we talk finances, we talk religion, we talk all of these things. And my pet peeve is this. The people of God in this church, the people of God in this country have so much power, but they're not using it. They're sitting down and they're letting other people push their agendas on us. You know why? Because we're not in the financial position to push back. So we have to get our houses and our homes in order first. And then as a whole, we can unite and we can deal with what's happening here. Okay? If you have to go to your job in the morning, you got to be careful about what you speak out against. Because your job is how you feed your family. But if you control your income, now they can't tell you shut up. Now they can't tell you can't start your business with prayer. And you can't start your business without a scripture reading. And you can't have certain principles because it's your business. And here's how you run it. And it's not dictated to them giving you a paycheck. Right. I submit to you tonight, you put these things in place. And I can guarantee you, almost guarantee you, with the help of God and the execution of you doing the work, you will start to see profits in your life because you're doing the work. You will start to see your lifestyle change inside first before you start to see a change in your pockets. Okay? It makes no sense. You go to a lending institute, you get all these people money, and you don't know what to do with it. Okay? As you grow from the inside, you build the foundation and the core of what you believe, and you execute little by little. You become good stewards of those things, and God will open opportunities for you to take on more and more and more. Quick story before I close. When I started printing for one of my other companies because I realized that my sales were down in the summer, and I needed to come up with an outfit that the ladies could wear and to go to regattas. And I started printing. And at the time, one of my coworkers was starting their church, and she knew I was screen printing. And she said to me, Darren, I need 15 shirts. I've never screen printed for somebody else in my life. She said, Darren, I need 15 shirts. I said, when do you need these for? This was a Thursday. I didn't even know where to get blank shirts from. And she said, I need this for Sunday. From Thursday to Friday, the order went from 15 to 20. By the time as I printed on Sunday, I needed 60 shirts to print for them. That was somebody who saw what I was doing, who saw that I was seeking, who saw I was faithful to building my systems. They took the chance, and they said they've never regretted to this day. I still print to them for this day. I still print to them. My point is that it's not how you start. It's what you do once you get started. All right? It's very hard to stay a parked car. But once you get it moving, you can let God and him giving you the wisdom and the information, and you'll be on the path as to what you need to go. Get up, do some work, and act on what we have. Have a good night.
That was very good. Thank you, Darren. So we put you on the honorary membership list. We'll be calling you again. So for those of you who are looking for funding, I promise to tell you where you can go. So most of you know you can go to the commercial banks and you can go to the credit union. Of course, we already say what you need. Don't go taking 1 and 2 documents to Cadero and then wasting his time because he's busy. You know, you're kind of busy. Outside of that, most of you, I don't know if y'all ever heard about Small Business Development Center, SBDC. So they are an access arm. They are a portion of the government. They're responsible for farming out your applications and helping you find funding. So if you apply to them, they will send it to the financial institutions. The institution, what is so good about going through SBDC is that they guarantee a portion of your loan. So when the loan officer asks you, do you have any collateral? The government guarantees 75 to 90%. So you come up with the difference. In addition to that, they give grants. So last week, Friday, they were giving $10,000 to Bahamian-owned businesses that were 100% Bahamian-owned or majority of Bahamian-owned. For the younger people, you don't pay back grant money. So they do have one for $5,000, the creative economy, and then they have one for anything to do with energy efficient. But they have a list of businesses. So like Darren says, you want to do some lawnmower? $5,000, you don't have to pay it back. Just put your application in. You need your executive summary. It's a snapshot of your business, and then you need financials, 3 to 5 years, what you project your business would make. Outside of that, I work at the Development Bank. And though I don't work in credit, I'm in charge of legal. So your stuff will come to me, and I'll say, okay, let's put them in court. But I will say to you all this. At the Development Bank operates a little different from the financial institution. The Development Bank don't need your job letter and pay slip. We want to know your business could pay the loan. So when you come to us, you need your executive summary or your business plan. But you got to convince us if we lend you this money, the business can pay the loan. So that is the difference from going through the commercial banks and the credit unions. So that is the difference. At the Development Bank, we're here to develop business, develop the economy. So we don't need to know your pay slip, your job letter. We need to know if we lend you this money, your business can pay us back. And if your business cannot pay us back, we cannot lend you the money. So y'all got the difference? So you can go to, like I said, the credit union or the financial institution. You can go to Small Business Development Center, and hopefully they will guarantee a portion of your loan, but they would send it out to the different financial institutions. Or you have the Development Bank, and you just have to, your business have to fund, the income from your business has to pay us. So there are some of the places that you can go. Anybody have any questions? Okay, so next week, Cadero is here, and he's here tonight, so I thank him for being here. You could just raise your hands. So he's at Fidelity Bank. He's going to tell you, when you come in to apply for a mortgage, what it is that you need to bring into him, and how do you qualify. Like I said, the following week, Melissa Salvadelivo is going to be here, and she is also an attorney, and she will be telling you what happens when it goes from the bank to the law firm. Sometimes, why does it take so long? Because that's one of the longest periods in there when you apply. I will say what happens when the bank has to take your home. And we would probably speak about constructions and add in equity. But like he said, you'll try get your insurance while you are young. If you apply for a mortgage, you should have insurance to cover the amount you are borrowing. And the younger you are, the lower your premium will be, which is a good thing. I do know somebody who was 21. He applied for insurance. He got turned down, but he didn't tell anybody because he was HIV positive. But he was trying to apply for a mortgage. So try get it while you're young. Your premiums will be much lower. You can get a term life as opposed to a whole life. So the term life attaches itself to the mortgage. So if something happens to you, unfortunately, that is paid off from that term life, and then your whole life insurance is there for your family, to assist your family. So there are different things that you can do. Any other questions? Any questions about the business? Where to go? What to do? We want to make sure you all are equipped. Yes. No, he see a lot of homes being repossessed. So his question is, he sees a lot of home being repossessed. Let's say he wanted to purchase one and turn it into a rental. What does he do? So the first thing you have to do, a lot of people make this mistake. They assume that because the bank repossessed a house, it's too cheap. So let's clarify that now. That is not the case. In the Bahamas, we sell by power of sale. When the bank repossesses your property and sell the property, they have to give the homeowner the difference if there's a difference once they pay off their loan. So we try to get, by law, the market value of the home. So once you submit your bid, they go with the highest bidder. Once that happens, you become the homeowner. Now the issue is whether can you turn it into a commercial property. Really depends on town planning. Because if you're in a residential area, you may need approval to put a commercial property there. Okay? But if it's a repossessed home, just submit a bid to the bank. You actually don't need a real estate agent, but you may see real estate agents advertising. Submit it to the bank. They will go with the highest bidder. But don't assume because they're on the list, it's going to be cheap. Try use the appraised value as a guide to how much you want to offer the bank. Commercial as in residential, let's say a duplex or a short. Right. So sometimes if you look at your document, it may say soon for single family. So you actually may need an approval to put a commercial building where you are. So you're looking at your document and seeing if it's soon for that. Or you might be on the main road. It may say open zoning. You could turn it into a business, a home, you know. So they're the things that you want to look at, if that answers your question. Okay. Anybody have any other? Yes, Joey. So define thief for your property. I mean, no, define thief. Okay. So you can actually, you're not the contractor. So you tell the person, you give that this is where my property is, and they actually build on the wrong property. The person didn't mean to steal your property. You just on the wrong property. In those cases, if I own a property through corner 1, your property is through corner 2, we could do a deed of exchange. We could say, okay, I might have bought the property as an investment piece for my son. I have no intentions of living there. So I could say, okay, let's just do a deed of exchange. When he's ready, he'll say what to do with the property. If that answers the question. Now, if somebody is on your property, only the court can do a lawful eviction. So you can write them a letter and say, I need you out by a certain time. But if the court gives you an order, the provost marshal come And we do this when we repossess houses. They put a notice on the door, they'll call you, and they'll give you 2 weeks, 30 days to vacate. When the provost marshal come at the end of that time, he comes with the police and he comes with the locksmith. And that's it. So I don't know if that answers your question, but some of y'all who are looking for a job, y'all know those provost marshals make money, right? Because they work for the court plus they get paid on the side. That's a job to look into. The provost marshal? You just apply to the government. So yeah, the provost marshal, sometimes you'll see them using police. And it is embarrassing for the provost marshal to come and tell you, come out, and all the neighbors and women. If the bank tell you vacate, vacate before everybody shows up. And everybody watching you, you know. Yeah. And like I said, the bank really don't want to repossess. I mean, when the locksmith charge, especially if you have a multi-family duplex, they charge you for every door. There's more money to us when they got to change the lock on the door. We evict people at a hotel, motel. We could evict you at the church. I ain't gonna lose no sleep. But we'll evict the church. I mean, if you got to evict somebody out the church, you just sit down and pray about it. Just go to the church and be like, yeah, brother, well, you say to them, go at the court, put them out. I didn't put them out. Come out the building. Actually, I don't have a problem. I'm not gonna. You know, it was. I know we be out of time. It was kind of painful to have to do these things to fundamental people, but it had to be done. You just do it. You just be compassionate about it. You just pull them aside. You have that conversation. You give them some options and say, here's your options. We're here to help you. It done going too far. And then you just come in church. And let me say something about being an attorney, because we have to do a career day. I work in a financial institution, but I'm an attorney. I will say this. We have a duty to confidentiality. So it could be that we repossess somebody's house in here. I could come in here and, so you would never know. We have people in here who I've been to court on with bail, and they have an ankle bracelet for rape, and they sitting there. And I talk to them and shake their hand and go in, and nobody knew that. But he had on the ankle bracelet. We have people in here. We have people in here who had children outside the marriage, and we had to do the affidavit for the child and come to court. And I'm saying that to say this, don't just assume because of the position people are going to share information with you. You could be dating somebody with AIDS, and I know that. I can't tell you that. I just can't. No. I can pray for you. I probably, this your mommy, right? I probably say, Tasha, we got to break that up. But I can't tell her why. Like, you break that up quick. But I can't tell her why. And that has happened, I can tell you. I've been to court and came the next day, and the guy was sitting in here. He was charged with rape. And I could not say anything. So you just have to be careful. And I'm going to say this to you, just when you're going to purchase a home, you may need a surveyor to survey the home, not an appraiser. There was a home that was sinking, but it was up for sale. And every time it flooded and the people clean out the house, the mold was there. But if you actually look at the appraisal, you'll see the house dropping and dropping every couple of years. Yeah. There is caveat emptor, buyer beware. Was it my job to tell them the house was sinking? And you just have to know that. So be careful when you purchase in homes. Be careful when you, everything you do, because you got to do your research. Any other questions? Yes. Pardon me? If I feel better? What his question was? Me? When I say I don't lose any sleep, let me be frank with you. I want me to be frank, right? I have a child that I had to take care of. I needed to be paid. So most of y'all know my son is a pilot, right? That's $96,000. So I could not afford to to be crying for your house. You understand? And like Mr. Farrington said, he's a pilot, but somebody call him to clean a yacht. He going and clean the yacht. He driving people car. He picking up things. He just got one of them entrepreneurial spirit. He works with his hand. I don't. I work with my mind. So if I have to put you out, I will write up the paper and send it to the people who will put you out. And that's just it is. And I'm not going to hide from it. Any other questions? And it's just like this. I do not do divorce cases, I will tell you that. But I don't have a problem advising you on a divorce. And I don't like that family dynamics when people are rowing and putting children in the middle of it, using children against each other. That's an issue for me. Any other questions? We finished, Pastor? Okay.
All right, yeah. All right, Cadaro's going to handle it next week. Good, amen. They call him my son. I tell you. All right. I was just trying to take notes while Darren was speaking. I was excited about that. Amen. Did a good job. Very good job. Appreciate that very, very much. Just a quick note on the billionaires. The world's 10 richest people. 7 out of the 10 make their fortunes in technology. 7 out of 10. Remember, Darren was talking about when that internet computer start to boom, well, and it's going to boom. It's going to continue to boom, okay? And so that was interesting just to see that Bernard Arnault, whatever the name is, Jeff Bezos ain't the top guy right now. Of course, he went into, as Elon Musk who went into Twitter and whatnot? Elon, yeah. So it's Jeff Bezos is number 2 now, and Bernard Arnault, I think that's his name, is number 1. But that's interesting. And also I wanted to just share scriptures. I sandwich it, put the top on the sandwich. He said a lot of good stuff there. Said Luke 16:8, the children of this world, anybody know it? Are wiser. When it comes to the use of material things, they're wiser than the children of God. That's the bottom essence of it. So they have some stuff there that's solid, that's good. Sometimes we as children of God, we just put our noses in the air and call ourselves spiritual, just keep on walking, Yeah. So just think on that. Think on those things. It all belongs to God. You're the servant. It's giving you skills, giving you means, wisdom, how to use this. I've got all the notes there. Defining your why, your vision, what's your goal, and learning from the people who have made it, and of course doing it, executing it. Thank you, Darren. Very well done. All right, I don't think there's any more questions, but I certainly would love to get that list of folk, and I've been trying to get them and trying. I remember when we went into, real quick, when we went into COVID. When COVID did some great things, Put you indoors, got you on Zoom,